It's never too early for a little love in your life. Hey Bestie, it's Lisa. Welcome or welcome back.
I've got this 4x6 frame, and then I've got these hearts. They're little wooden cutout hearts and some jute twine. And then I've got the little mini clothespins also. I'm going to go ahead and take apart the frame. We don't need the inside except for I'm going to use it to cut out the shape on a piece of, it's actually the back of a gift box that I got from Dollar Tree. Just going to go ahead and cut that out. And then I'm just going to make sure that it fits right over that back piece of the frame. I'm going to take my ink chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm going to paint the whole frame in black. The sides, around the edges, but not the back. Don't need to do the back at all. And it only takes one coat since the frame is on the darker side to begin with. I'm going to take this Sunny Days pack of scrapbook paper that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to pick this piece. It's really pretty with the pink kind of stripes. And I'm going to trace out that shape that I had cut out on the back of the gift box. I'm going to take my Jot glue stick from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to generously put that on there, and I'm going to attach the piece of scrapbook paper that I cut out. And I like to do it in sections. That way it doesn't move around too much. I can just kind of secure it at the one end and then attach the rest. I'm going to use my brayer to make sure that that has full contact. Then I'm just going to take my scissors and trim off any excess around the edges that I might have gotten, because I tend to cut things a little bigger on purpose. I'm going to take some Mod Podge, and I'm going to cover the whole frame in that. Now I'm going to take that jute twine, and I'm just going to hot glue it to the back top corner of the piece that's going to be inside the frame. And then I'm going to pull it down because I'm going to be hanging some things from it, and I'm going to attach it on the other side on the back as well. And that way I can cut the exact size piece that I need. Got those little wooden hearts I mentioned, and I'm going to peel off the little stickers on the back. We don't need them. And I'm going to attach them with the clothespins to the little jute twine. I started off with all red, and then I thought, you know what? I think those little pink glittery ones would look really pretty too. So I replaced the two red ones on either end, and I did that with the pink instead. Now I'm just going to place the pieces back inside the frame. First the piece with the little hearts hanging, and then the backing so it has its stand. I'm just going to kind of arrange them and make sure they're sitting just the way I like, and that's it. I think this one is adorable. You'll have to let me know what you think. I love it. It's one of my favorites from today's video, and I hope that it's yours too.
Every change has a reason, baby.
This really cute 3.5 by 5 frame that has the little tag on the bottom. And then I've got this tote bag that I got, and I've used a little bit of it before, and I just love it. I'm going to take the frame apart, and of course that tag was right over there, so I have to peel that off as best as I can. Now I'm going to take that little piece of cardboard, and I'm just going to hold it over the heart that I want to use on that tote bag, and then I'm just going to cut that out bigger than it really is, and then I'll trim it in just a minute. I'm going to take the backing of the frame, and I'm just going to place it on there right where I want it, and then I'll just with a pencil quickly trace around it so that I can cut that out and get exactly the right size that I need. And I thought this particular heart looked really good with this color of frame. I'm going to put some Mod Podge on that backing there. Now you notice I put a little Dollar Tree sticker on there that says, "Will you?" And what I didn't realize when I took it out is that it had like a blue background. And so I didn't even show you that I put it on there because I'm going to take it off, and you're going to see that in just a minute. Anyway, I have got these little teeny hearts made out of wood that are cut out. So you can get these at most craft stores. I'm just going to hot glue them right inside that little tag area. And that's when I realized I can't handle that thing with the blue on it. So I took it off. I've got these cute little off-white flowers. I'm just going to pull them off the pick, and then this beautiful rose. And I'm just going to hot glue the green backing. It came off, and then there was 3 leaves, and it covered the picture, so I cut one of the leaves off. That's what I like about pulling picks apart, is you can make them fit any way that you want. So I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue that right on there, and then I'm going to take that rose and put it right there in the center. And then I cut up those little baby flowers. I'm just going to stick them in all around, one on each side and one towards the bottom. Now once I have those in there, I've got this other pick. I think it's like a boxwood pick. I'm just going to cut it in half, and I'm going to put one on each side just to give it a little more texture and interest. I like mixing up the different picks and florals. I just think it makes it more interesting to look at. Now I've got a red marker from Dollar Tree that's almost out of ink, but that was perfect because I barely wanted it to have a little red on those little wooden hearts. So I just put that on there, and it was just the perfect shade. It actually kind of matches the center of that flower. So anyway, I love this one. Let me know what you think. It's a little more rustic, but I think it's so cute.
Has a reason.
So all around it came from the Dollar Tree. So did this mop head and these ranunculus, I never say that right, flowers. And then this is from the Target Dollar Spot. It's just a garland for $3. I love grabbing those when I see them. And these 4 pieces of round wood are from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to use some Mod Podge too. I'm going to pull off all of this tinsel. You just cut it at one spot and then you start unrolling it. It's got these little ridges. You can see what I'm going to show you now. And it just kind of goes in and around, and you go back and forth till it comes off. There was a couple longer ones, so I just snipped those off because they would be in the way. First thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of hot glue right in that center of the heart and put down my first strand of the mop head. I'm going to wrap it around twice between each little piece that sticks out. And when I get to the piece that sticks out, I'm going to add a dot of hot glue and then hold it for a second and then wrap again twice between each one. And then a dot of hot glue on the little piece that sticks out, and just keep going all the way around. And it takes, I guess it took me probably like 10 pieces of the mop head roughly, and we'll get to the end, and I just had a little more to go, so I've got to add one more little mop head piece. I always add on the back so you don't see it. And then I'm just going to get that to that very center point again, snip off a little bit, and hot glue it down. And that's all there is to wrapping it, and it looks really pretty wrapping around those little knobby pieces. I love that look. I'm going to take my 4 round pieces of wood, and on each side I'm going to paint them with the Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint. Then I'm going to take my Ballet Slipper Waverly chalk paint and do around the sides. Once that's done, I'm going to paint 2 X's and 2 O's, and we're doing the kiss, hug, kiss, hug. Now I'm going to take some hot glue, and I'm just going to gently glue each of those little wood slices to each other and to the outside of the heart. But then I'm going to take some popsicle sticks, the very smallest ones, and I'm going to cut pieces so that they can support those little pieces of wood. I don't want to take any chances because the wreath form is so light and the little wood pieces are much heavier than it is. And then I'm also going to add a little teeny piece of the popsicle stick to each of the outsides of the rounds, and then I'll paint those white as well. To the beat of your heart, I'm going to take little pieces of that wreath from Target, and I'm just going to cut them up and hot glue them to that upper right curve of the heart. Then I'm going to take the ranunculus, and I'm going to cut them all the way down till it's almost flat on the back, put a generous amount of hot glue, and just place them wherever I want. I'm going to use 5 of those. Once that's done, I'm going to add a few more leaves here and there to fill in any holes, and then I'll just arrange a few leaves where I want them. Now I'm going to take the Mod Podge and cover the letters, and that's it. So easy, and I think this one came out so pretty. Let me know what you think. Our song will never fade away. We'll always be fighters. Teeny frame. It looks like it's like a place card for a wedding or something. And I've got 2 Jenga blocks. I've got 2 beads. And then I've got 4 little hearts, and I'm just going to use all those. You can get little heart cutouts at Dollar Tree or any of the craft stores. I'm going to paint the 2 Jenga blocks white, but one of them I need to cut down. I want it to be slightly smaller, so I'm just going to kind of draw a line and use my miter shears. I get those from Amazon, and I'm just going to cut it. Now, it's a little thick, so you've got to really push, and sometimes I just turn it over and do it from the other side as well, and then I kind of pull it off, and that worked out great. And then I sanded the end. I am going to take a piece of tape and put all these little pieces on there so they don't move around. So I'm going to paint the bigger heart red. I'm going to paint the littler hearts in this pink acrylic paint. And like I said, the Jenga blocks in the white. Now I'm going to take the little frame apart. And I'm going to paint the backing in the pink. Now I'm not going to worry about those 2 little screws that the stand is on because they'll be covered. So I'm going to add Mod Podge over the top once that dries. Now once the Mod Podge is dry, I'm going to put that piece back in the frame and just push down the little clips so that it's nice and secure. Now I'm going to take the larger Jenga block, put a little bit of glue towards the bottom of that inside, and add the smaller one just next to it. So it's like a man and a woman couple. So I figure the man's probably taller, and I'm going to add a little bead head to each one with some hot glue. This is going to be so cute. Then I'm going to take some twine, I'm going to attach it on the back with hot glue, and I'm going to do like an X back and forth, wrapping it around. I just want to give it kind of that cute little, almost rustic look, even though it's got the bolder colors on there. I just think this is so cute with the twine. Now that I've got that on there the way I like, I'm just going to cut it off and attach it to the back with a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to put some hot glue right in the center of that X, and I'm going to add the little red heart. Now I'm going to add hot glue to the twine and the back of each of the heads, because that's the part that sticks out the most. And I'm going to place it right in the center of the frame, and that covers up those little screws that hold the stand on. Now I'm going to take those little pink hearts that I painted, and I'm going to put one in each corner, kind of facing up towards the corner. And I think that is just such a cute little accent. I had these in my stash. They must have come with something else that I purchased, and I thought, oh, I got to use them. They are so cute. And that's really it for this one. It was very easy. You could put names on it if you want, or you could just leave it as it is, but I just think it's so sweet and just how fun for Valentine's.
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you.
Gift bag hack. I've got a gift bag. I've got a wood round that was from the fall, and I'm just going to start cutting out the words on this gift bag. As it turned out, the two larger words, together and loved, would not fit on this round. So I end up doing something different. I'm only going to use the words in the center, which is they built a life they. So you'll see I'm going to cut each of these words out individually as tight as I can, to the edges of the words. Next, I'm just going to use my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to do 2 coats on the front of this wood round. Then I'm going to take a furniture marker, it just happens to be like black, and I'm going to write in cursive, together and loved. Now, this is not perfect. I don't do calligraphy. I kind of wanted it to look more natural. So if you think it's a little messy, that's actually my intention here. If you're really good at that, then obviously by all means go ahead and do that in a much more, precise manner. I just wanted it to be very casual, and I will dry that ink with my heat tool. Next thing, I'm going to place the words individually on there where I want them to go. And once I've decided where they're going to go, I am going to use some Mod Podge and put it on the back of each of the words, and then put it down on the wood round. And when I'm all done, I roll the brayer over it just to try to flatten it. You do see the edges around the words, but I don't think it's distracting. I'm just going to take a piece of wood, which is sort of like a flat edge, and I'm going to draw some lines with a pencil, and it's going to look like kind of shiplap or plank. And I'm just going to slightly wet my finger and rub over that pencil, and that makes it look a little bit more realistic. It also creates a bit of a distress effect. Once that's done, I'm going to take some steel Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to rub most of it off with a brush and then put it around the edges and kind of lightly over the top, just a dry brush effect. And I just want it to look a little bit more, worn and, distressed. If you are enjoying this video, I hope you will subscribe if you haven't already, like it, share it, and leave me a comment. Thank you. Next, I'm going to use some of this greenery from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to make a little swag on the top. And off camera, because I forgot to film it, I also added the lavender and a black hanger. I love how this turned out. It's really cute, and it has that really nice kind of antique look to it. Let me know what you think.
Has a reason. Baby, let it come to you. Every soul, every season.
That's from the Dollar Tree, And I've got these rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree that are gorgeous, and some more of that contact paper from the Target Dollar Spot. I took off the balls and the string from the little paddle balls, and I overlapped them and shaped a heart, and then I traced a line where I wanted to cut off the excess. I'm using my X-Acto knife to do that. You just score it and keep going over it, and then it will break apart. And then I'm going to trim any little rough edges, and look how nicely that fits together. Now I just need to draw the point at the bottom and score and cut that, and look at that. It's a perfect heart. I'm going to put some hot glue right in the center, attach them so it'll stay in place, and then on the back I'm going to put hot glue over the seam and then brush off the excess with my little spatula. Do the same thing on the other side, use the spatula again, and then I will also sand over the top to make it as flat as possible. I need to paint that before I put the contact paper, but I'm going to cut my piece because I just want to see how much I need. I'm going to paint that white to cover up the purple because it would show through that contact paper. Then I'm going to go ahead and apply the contact paper starting at one side and just slowly pulling the backing out as I rub across. And I use my brayer just to make sure that it stays nice and flat. I'm going to cut little slits around the edges with the excess part because that'll help it to lay better around the heart. So I'm just going to start folding each little piece over to the back side. Once that's done, I do want to finish off some craft paper, hot glue it, and add a little hanger in the back. I'm going to take the rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree. This one's gorgeous. I'm going to place it at an angle, and I'm just going to lay it over the top. And you could use a credit card, a wooden scraper, a Cricut tool, whatever. I'm just using my little Cricut scraper thingy, and I'm going to start pulling it off. And if you see that something isn't coming off, just go back over that spot and then pull. And it looks like I did this really fast, but I didn't. I went very slowly, and I kept going over it till I knew that it was all adhering. And this left me with a little piece, so I'm just going to burnish on with my hand the piece that I did put on, and then I'm going to take the other one and kind of decide how I want it to sit and just lay that portion, and then I'm going to put the backing underneath so it doesn't stick to my table. Did the exact same thing, and look how gorgeous that is. I've got my mop head again, and I'm just going to hot glue a couple strands all the way around to give it like a nice clean edge. I'm going to take the peonies again, and I'm just going to take one, cut it off, and put it up in that upper left-hand corner and add some little fern pieces that I cut to that. And I just think this one is gorgeous. Let me know what you think about this one. I'm going to take this 4x6 frame. And then I've got a little bit of a smaller size brush and some watercolors from Crafter Square. And then I've got my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. I'm going to take the frame apart, and we're not going to need the glass. What I'm going to do is take a piece of foam board, and I'm going to take that little paper that comes in it, and I'm just going to trace that on the foam board so that I can cut out that shape. So that's what I'm going to be putting inside of the frame instead of the glass. I'm just going to take my cutter from Amazon. It's got a nice ergonomically correct handle, which I love, and I'm just going to cut off the two edges from where I traced that shape. I'm going to take some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to cover the whole side that I'm going to use. And once that dries, I'm going to take that red watercolor paint. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it, and I'm going to mix it up. And what I'm going to start doing is just creating little hearts, all different shapes, sizes, and directions on this foam board. And I want you to see the brush strokes in it. So I go back over them. If there's any like break in it, you'll see when I do that. Because I want it to be kind of like a continuous line, like right at what I just did there. And I'm going to put them all over, like I said, different sizes and shapes. Now I'm going to add some white paint to that red paint. I'm going to, water it down a bit and lighten it up, and I'm going to do some more hearts. Now they didn't come out quite as light as I was hoping, so I'm going to go back over them with some of the white paint and kind of blend it in, and I really love that look. It almost gives it like kind of a texturized look. So once I get them all in there, I will cover that with Mod Podge. I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to paint the entire frame except for the very back. I'll dry that with my heat tool from Amazon. I'm going to put some Mod Podge over the frame. Now I'm just going to place it in the frame, and then I'll also put the stand back inside in case I decide I want to stand it up. And I'll just secure the little tabs.
This summer I'll be by
I love how it looks, but I did decide to add a hanger. I've got this really beautiful heart ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut a piece, attach it to the back on both sides. And then I do like to add a little teeny piece of masking tape over that, just as an extra bit of security. It just seems to kind of like meld together when you do that. So I'll just add some more hot glue and add the tape. And really, that's it. This one is beautiful. And I saw something similar to this on Pinterest, and that's what inspired me. And I just love the random look of the hearts. I think it's so pretty. It kind of looks like a print, even though I just drew them on there myself. And they don't have to be perfect. So I hope you'll try this one.
Every change has a reason.
Dollar Tree sock hack. I have these adorable socks from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut along the edge of one of them. And of course, I've got that wreath form that we're going to use. And I'm going to cut some strips. So that's why I'm cutting the sock open. And then I'm just going to get rid of the curvy parts and start cutting some strips. Now I'm going to use these strips to wrap around the wreath form. But first, let's get our hanger on there because you know me, I forget sometimes. I'm trying to get better with this. I think I am. I hope I am. Anyway, I'm just going to wrap it around like a lark's head knot and then put another knot at the top. And there you go. Trim off the excess and now we have a hanger. Now I'm going to start with the first strip of the sock and I'm just going to hot glue it to itself around the back and start wrapping kind of at an angle around, only overlaps kind of on the edges. That way we don't have to use so many socks to do this. And each time I finish a piece, I'll just turn it over and hot glue it on the back. And then I'll start the next piece going in that same direction on the back, start wrapping it around and just continue doing this until I get to the actual end of the wreath ring. There we are with the last piece. Just going to wrap that one around and secure it in the back. Isn't that already pretty? It's just kind of puffy and spring-like. It's so cute. Anyway, now I'm just going to take these gorgeous flowers I got from Walmart. They have some really pretty ones and their prices aren't too bad either. I'm going to start with a larger flower in the center. I think the larger one actually came from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to secure a bunch of these leaves all along the left side only. We're just going to do the flowers on half of the wreath. So once I get them snipped, I'm going to glue them on kind of like the first one will be going upward and then the next one will go down. So it almost creates like a leaf circle kind of. And then I will start putting the little flowers down on the leaves. And I think that's just going to be so pretty. By the way, this is a very easy project and it turns out gorgeous. Now we're just going to put on the very last little flower. And there's a little gap up at the top between the top one. I do end up adding one more flower off camera. I think this is so beautiful. And it came together so quickly. What a fun DIY. What do you think? This Dollar Tree sock hack, honestly, this is about the easiest one. I got these cute striped socks. And then I had this little tin planter from IKEA, but they sell them at Dollar Tree and Walmart too. What I'm going to do here is just cut a section that fits around the center part of this planter. So I'm cutting off the toes, I'm cutting off the heels, and I had just kind of held it up to the planter to see where I needed to cut. Honestly, this is ridiculously easy, which makes it so awesome. So now I've got my piece. I'm just going to kind of trim up any excess and I'm literally going to stretch it around the little planter and set it around the middle. It's almost like, you know, those little cozies that you can get when you get coffee or whatever. It's like a little planter cozy, but it's so cute. And look at that. It just stretches right over. And then I'll just kind of flatten the edges because they got a little curly and just kind of, you know, push them down. Actually, you don't even have to glue this on because it just stays right there. Now for fun, I've got these beautiful flowers I found at Walmart. They've really got some beautiful florals there. And I'm literally just going to set them in. I'm not even going to put foam or anything in there because it's just going to cover them up. I'm using quite a few of them. And I think This is stunning. I mean, these flowers are beautiful. And then the cute little cozy around the planter. You know what? It just doesn't get any easier than this. I mean, no sewing, no gluing, no painting. This is my kind of a DIY. You'll have to let me know what you think of this one. I absolutely love it, and I love how easy and fast it was to make.
I've got this cute little, it's not a mason jar, but it's like a little jar. And then I've got this pink burlap that I had already glued like a sleeve for one of these, so I thought I'll just use it because I already had it, and I'm just going to attach it to the glass. I'm going to cut most of that beautiful lace edge off of the doily. I'm going to leave just a little in there because I don't need that big of a piece. And then I'm going to take that piece I cut off and I'm going to wrap it around. It's almost like giving it a little skirt. And I'm going to start hot gluing it around. And because it doesn't go around perfectly flat, I wanted it to have like little ruffles, if you will. So I just kind of let it lift up and then put another piece down, let it lift up. And I just love the effect this has. It's just so, so cute. And this is just paper. You could do this with a cloth doily as well. And when I get to the end, I will just attach it, cut off any excess, and then make sure that the pieces are attached to each other with the hot glue. And you could use any kind of glue for this as well. Now I'm going to take what was left of that piece that I was using, and I'm just going to roll it around itself, and I'm going to create a little rose with it. So I made it a little tight, then I loosened it, and then I'm going to glue it to itself, and then I'm going to trim the bottom, and then I have to glue it again, because I wasn't sure exactly how this would work. I was just going to play with it until it looked the way I wanted. So I'm going to take these beautiful flowers that I got, I believe from Dollar Tree a while back. I'm going to trim off the stems. And then I'm going to take a leaf from another pick, and I'm going to attach it right to this burlap here on the front of my little jar. Then I'm going to make my little rose even a little flatter because it was going to stick out way too much the way I had it. And I'm going to hot glue it right to that leaf, and I'm going to add one more leaf right next to it. I thought that was so pretty. What a neat way to use the doily, not just as the little skirt, but to create this flower. Next, I'm going to take some Spanish moss and add some little sticks in there, and I thought anything I could just to kind of fill this up, because I don't really want to see those stems from the flowers I'm going to use. And then I will stick them in there, and just, this is so beautiful. I love the colors of these little flowers, and the leaves are really cool too. They're not like your regular leaves that are kind of shorter. These are just so pretty, and look at that. This was so easy to make, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's just so cheery and bright.
Has a reason, baby, let it come to you.
I'm going to take this gorgeous napkin that has roses on the bottom there and this terracotta planter that's also from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take a napkin, and it's a 2-ply napkin, so I need to separate the plies. I'm going to take a little piece of tape, put it in the corner, and when I turn it over to pull it apart, it just starts to separate naturally, and it's very easy. It's the best way I know to separate the plies on a napkin. Now I'm just going to cut out the design that's on the bottom of this napkin because that's all we're going to need to make this project. I love using Dollar Tree napkins, or any napkins for that matter, to make crafts or DIY projects. I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint. I'm going to paint a generous coat around the entire pot on the outside. Then I'm just going to kind of rip the edges around those leaves at the top because I don't want that clean white line. It probably wouldn't show with the white paint, but just to be on the safe side, I'm just going to rip that around. You can also use a little fine tip paintbrush and some water to help you separate that. But when it's super fine like this, I do like to rip it with my fingers. I'm going to just add some Mod Podge around this entire pot in little sections, and then I will add some over the top, and I will cut into smaller pieces the napkin. If I don't cut it, it's going to start moving upwards because it's a circle and it won't lay flat, so you need to cut it into smaller pieces. So here I am piecing the napkin next to the piece there, and then using the Mod Podge, of course, very carefully with my finger. You can't really use a brayer on this because it will get very wet and sticky and probably rip the napkin. You could use saran wrap over the top instead of just your finger, but I felt comfortable doing this. I'm going to finish it off, and there it is. This turned out so beautiful. Then I'm going to take this little half of a styrofoam ball, put it in the inside of the pot. I'm going to use these peonies from Dollar Tree, and then also I've got some greenery from Amazon, and I'm going to do the floral way of doing thriller, filler, and spiller. So the flowers are my thriller, those greenery pieces are my spiller, and then I'm going to use another greenery that I got at Walmart, and I'm just going to cut off little pieces and use that as my filler. It's kind of a fern looking one. And I think the different textures keep this very interesting. I love florals that are interesting and full, and I think this one just turned out beautiful. You could use any napkin you want, and I think it would just be really, really pretty in your house or even outside if you wanted to. This is such an easy way to upcycle any kind of a planter that you might have. Let me know what you think.
Every change
and a picture frame I picked up on sale from IKEA. You could use any frame you want. Then I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint and Waverly Ballet Slipper chalk paint. We're going to remove the backing and the inside of the picture frame. We do not need the plexiglass or the little white frame thing. We're just going to use the backing. I've got this little contact paper, removable contact paper from the Target dollar spot, and I'm just going to figure out how much I need to cover that whole back piece of the picture frame. I thought this was a nice subdued color for like maybe Valentine's or spring. So I'm just going to remove the backing slowly and start at one end and then just kind of flatten it as I go. And then to make sure that it's really, sitting nicely on the backing, I'm going to take my brayer that I got on Amazon. If you're interested, it's down in my Amazon store, which is always in the description box if you need anything. I'm going to take a rotary cutting tool and I'm just going to cut off that excess all the way around that frame backing. And there it is, nice and clean. I've also got this piece of cardboard that I had in my stash. I'm going to kind of flat out that center part where it folds. And I'm going to use this as the basis for creating a heart with my tumbling tower blocks. I'm looking at a picture I saw where somebody created one. And so you're just using rows of 3 and then a couple rows that have less in them. And you just stack them right next to each other. I want to see how it's going to look. And now I'm adding the 2 sides, and whatever you do the middle, and then whatever you do on one side, you do on the other. So it's actually pretty easy. This is a great time to screenshot or freeze this frame, so you can have this if you need it. I'm going to hot glue each piece. I'm going to start on one side. That way I can push them snug up against each other. And now I'm going to do the rest of that side, and now it's adhered, and there's the whole thing. I'm going to sand it. I'm going to paint the whole thing white. I'm going to dry it with my heat tool from Amazon. And then I'm going to use a mister and I'm going to spray it with a little water. I'm going to use the ballet slipper to create an ombre effect. So I'll do solid ballet slipper on the top. In the middle, I'll do a mixture of the white and the ballet slipper, and then the bottom will already be white. Then I'm going to spray the Krylon clear glaze over the top so that it's nice and sealed. I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and just cut securely all around the entire shape of the heart, and then I'll have a nice backing for it, and I can hot glue that directly to the picture frame backing, and that way it's going to stay in one piece no matter what. Isn't that gorgeous? I am loving how this turned out, and it's not like in your face hot pink or red or anything. It's just very subdued. I'm going to replace the backing, and that's it. Let me know what you think. Heart is from the Dollar Tree. And those little corrugated metal hearts came from another piece from the Dollar Tree. And then that burlap roll also comes from the Dollar Tree. They came in different colors. This is going to be so easy and so affordable. First thing, I'm going to cut off the tag and take off the jute. Next, I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to paint everything on the front except one of the planks. On the plank that I don't paint, I'm going to be putting my strip of burlap. Also painted those little in-between areas and the edges. I'm going to use my heat tool to dry the paint so I can move on. I'm not the most patient person, so this is a lifesaver. Now that the front side is painted everywhere that I want, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to paint the entire back side with that same white chalk paint. Do you guys decorate for Valentine's? I don't normally do that, so that's why I made these more neutral. I thought they would kind of fit my decor. I'm going to add back the jute hanger, but I end up changing it afterwards, you'll see. Now I'm going to take my burlap and I'm going to cut a piece that fits across that one plank that I did not paint. Just kind of checking it out to see if it'll fit. And I'm actually just going to hot glue it down. But first I'm going to pull off strands all the way around because I want it to be like kind of frayed around the edges. I like that look with the burlap. It's a little bit more, rustic. I'm not going to use a lot of hot glue because, it comes right through the burlap. So I'm just going to put little dots here and there that you won't see once I put the piece down. And of course, I'm using my little spatula. I got mine on Amazon, but they also sell them at the Dollar Tree. Because if you put your fingers on there, you will definitely get burned through the burlap. So please be careful if you do that. I'm going to trim any pieces that are overhanging, and then I end up trimming a little bit in between the planks because it was just getting kind of long there. I'm going to go in there and get that all trimmed up. And there it is. So now we can move on and place the corrugated metal hearts. I love the combination of the wood, the burlap, and the metal. It's just such a cool combination. I'm just going to add some hot glue to each of the back of the hearts and place them, wherever I think they'll look cute. You can put them wherever you want. Be super careful when you are touching the metal. It does get very hot from the glue. I'm also always looking for those stupid glue webs. Does anyone else go crazy with those? I mean, I can't figure out how to get rid of them, so I'm always picking them off everything, including myself. I really love the way this looks. It's so easy and cute. I decided, instead of the jute hanger that came with it, I'm going to put some of my beads that I got on Amazon, and I started to string them. Of course, the end of the jute gets frayed, so I put a little piece of tape around the end real tight, and that makes it very easy to thread the beads. So there's a little hack for you if you're working with beads and jute. Now I'm going to put as many as I think will fit for the length I want for the hanger, and I'm just going to keep stringing them. If you are enjoying this video, please hit the like button. It helps YouTube show my videos to more people, and I truly appreciate it. And then I will pull the jute right through the holes, but from the back, because I love the knots in the front. I just think that really goes with the farmhouse look. And all that's left to do is tie the knots in the front. I'm going to put a dab of hot glue underneath them so they stay in place, and then trim the tops of the jute. I love this one. So easy. It would go with anything. It's so neutral and it's adorable. I hope you guys love it. Sign from the Dollar Tree, and then I took some book pages and I used my Cricut to cut out some little heart shapes. Of course, you can cut these by hand, or if you have like a little scrapbooking punch, you could do that too. And then I also did one red heart with some scrapbook paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is unwrap the plastic on this sign, and then I'm going to turn it over and open up the back. They made this one easy by actually putting little metal pieces you could slide over and pull them out, so I didn't have to like cut anything. And I'm going to take this piece and sand it down. It didn't need much. I don't mind that it's textured. That actually looks pretty cool. And once I do that, I am going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to paint the entire top of this, and I'm going to give it a couple coats to make sure that I cover the words that were on there. I will use my heat tool to dry it, and then I will go ahead and add another coat, like I said, because it really was hard to cover those words, but it worked. I got them covered. The next thing that I'm going to do is take my little hearts and I'm going to fold them right in half. Almost like they were a butterfly in flight, if that makes sense. I'm going to do that to all of them except the red heart. I'm just going to place them on there and kind of decide the positioning that I want. I had seen this on Pinterest, but I kind of modified it to fit what I had to work with. So I'm just figuring out if I need to cut any more hearts or if I have enough. It turns out that I do have enough, and this is where I'm going to place them all. And the way that I'm going to set them on there is using a little bit of hot glue kind of on that pointy side of the fold of each of the hearts so that they open up while you're looking at them, and they're just like three-dimensional. And the only one that's going to lay flat is the red one. So I'm just going to hot glue them all on there. That is really all there is to this one. I put the piece back inside and it's gorgeous. I hope you guys like this one. So easy. I've got this cute little house. I've got some twine and this vinyl bag from the Dollar Tree, by the way, except for the paint. I'm going to heat up that little tag so that you can just scrape it right off. With my heat tool from Amazon, you can find that at my Amazon store. The link is always listed down in my description box. I'm going to sand off where the tag was, and then I'm going to paint the entire sign with that white from Rust-Oleum. Once I have the entire house painted, I'm going to take my bag and I'm going to cut out 3 different hearts that I like. And I left the little clothespin piece that was on there, but I end up only keeping it on one of them. And I'm going to lay down some Mod Podge on the back of the house. This is going to be a two-sided house. I'm going to take the red heart with the XOXO and the clothespin on it, and I'm just going to Mod Podge that right on. And then I'll add some more of course, the Mod Podge right on top. I'm going to add some Mod Podge on the back as well, which is really the front. And I'm going to add two of the little hearts. I did cut off that little clothespin on those. And I'm just going to kind of position them in there the way I think looks cute. I just love doing two-sided things. You just get so much more out of it. I'm going to lay down some Mod Podge on top of these hearts as well. I'm going to take a real mini clothespin and I'm going to put some hot glue and put it right over that little fake one. And that'll be nice. You can put a picture there or a note or whatever you want. It'll just be a nice little place to put something. And there's a hole in the clothespin you can see. And I kind of made my little piece of twine to a point with some glue. And I'm just going to hot glue it right on the edge there. I'm going to do it to both sides. So that way it looks like it's hanging on a little clothesline. And then I'm just going to take a scissors and cut off those edges. I didn't want it on both sides, just on the one. Now I felt like it needed something more, so I'm going to use this bright red paint from Folk Art, and I'm just going to paint that very top ridge on the front. I decided to just do a teeny bit of distressing with the steel Waverly chalk paint, just the teeniest bit. I didn't want it to look really old, but I just wanted to give it a little bit of character. You absolutely do not have to do this if you prefer not to. And that's it. I really like this one. You can just stand it up wherever you want, even a tier tray. It's so cute.
Our song will never fade away. We'll always be fighters. I'll hold your hand.
What about Dollar Tree signs is that they don't have to be for the season that they were made in. You can use this kind of wood round as many times and for any season as you want. So I'm going to take off the hanger, and I'm going to take off the sticker. The back has now become the front. I'm just going to heat that up. Then I'm going to put some masking tape over the hole that's on the front of the sign, and I'm going to pull off that little straw bow, and I'm going to fill in the holes with some hot glue. I mean, you can use wood filler, of course, but I just do this little trick where I do hot glue, I let it sink in, I add a little more, and then I just sand it down, and it actually works just fine. And by putting the tape on the back, it stops it from sticking to the thing that it's laying on top of. I'm going to take a little ruler. I'm going to measure about 1.5 inches down, and I'm going to lay down masking tape because I'm going to be painting stripes. So I'm going to do that all the way down the round.
We'll always be fighters.
And there you go. I'm going to take the white paint. I'm going to paint in between all of the pieces of tape. And if you notice, when I'm by the tape, I'm always going upward or downward from it. I never paint back and forth over it. I don't want any bleeding. And look at that. It came out really nice. I'm going to take my Waverly Ballet Slipper chalk paint, and I'm going to very carefully paint in between. And it's okay that they don't touch perfectly because I've got a piece of gold vinyl, and I'm in my cutter. I'm just going to cut little thin strips. If you have gold washi tape, you could use that too. That would be very nice to use. I didn't have any. And another thing, you don't have to use like a Cricut vinyl for this. They sell different kinds of vinyl at Dollar Tree. And now I'm just going to lay them down and turn it over, and I'm going to slice off the very edges. Just trim that right off. I've got this gold chalk writer from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to go all around the edges to cover up that MDF look. And I did use my Cricut to cut out the word love, but you can use stickers or draw that with freehand if you want. I'm going to cover the entire thing with Mod Podge to seal it. And then I've got the ranunculus again, and what I'm going to do with those is attach some kind of on the left side more of the top. Because my word love is diagonal, I thought that would look really cute. And this is so, so pretty. I just love the way this looks. I finished the back with craft paper and a hanger, and that's it.
Our song will never fade away. We'll always be fighters. I'll hold your hand till judgment.
I love making little cutting boards, and I've been trying to make one for every season. I've got this set of 2 mini cutting boards from the Target Dollar Spot. It was like $5 for 2. They're very nice. And then I've got a Dollar Tree ribbon. I'm only going to use one for this project.
I've been out on the streets where the lights are red.
So the first thing that I'm going to do is just sand the edges. They were a teeny bit rough, not much.
Where nobody's ever been.
I'm going to take some more masking tape, and I'm just going to tape off a little bit so I have the top separated, and I'm going to make an area for the bottom. I'm going to do up at the top, and again, when I'm by the tape, I paint away from it. And then I'm going to do the same thing for a little portion of the bottom. I just love the way that looks. I'm going to leave some of the wood grain because it's so nice. And look at that, so satisfying pulling off the tape. I'm going to Mod Podge over the whole front of this little mini cutting board. It's not going to be used for food, so it's more of a decorative piece. I found these little hearts at the Dollar Tree. They came in a little package. You have like a little plastic piece on the back, and you pull it off, and then it's like a sticker. So I just arranged them any way I wanted, and then I'm going to put some more Mod Podge over the top. I'm going to take my Dollar Tree ribbon. I'm going to make like an awareness bow, and then I'm going to wrap a piece of Mod Podge around the middle. I'm just going to make a little bow that goes right in the top of that cutting board on the handle. And that's all there is to this one. It's super easy, very cute, and very festive. You'll have to let me know what you think. Book stacks out of these crates from the Dollar Tree. This is not exactly a book stack, but it's going to have words on it. I'm going to use this lipstick red paint from Folk Art. I'm just going to paint that middle stripe on both sides. I didn't tape it off because it's got a nice edge you can work with. That way you can be careful not to get any in, and I'm using a very small art brush. So I did that to both sides. And then I'm going to paint the whole entire rest of it with the steel from Waverly chalk paint. I thought that was a really pretty combination, and I wasn't going to do a wood look. And then I take my white and I just go in between the red and the silver. And there it is. Use my Cricut to cut out "Love never fails." I love that. It's in the scriptures. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that on. I made the middle word "never" with silver vinyl, and then I did black on the other two words. You can use stickers. You can use a pen. If you have nice writing, you could also trace using something that you got off the computer. Anyway, this was very easy, and you definitely don't need a Cricut to do it. I think it comes out super cute. I've also got these little red sparkly hearts in different sizes, so I just glued them with my Beacon Fabric Tack glue to the very top, and that's it. Again, another super easy, fun Valentine decor. This would definitely fit on a tier tray as well. Let me know what you think. DIY, I'm going to use this little mini traffic cone from the toy section. I've got some scrap fabric, and this was actually like a dish towel. I think I got that at Dollar General. Some lace and a peony from Dollar Tree, and then I've got this little ball that comes from the paddle game from Dollar Tree, and these little heart like wood stickers. I'm going to just sand a little bit around that whole cone because I want the paint to stick. I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint to cover the whole thing as a base coat, dry it off. Then I'm going to take the ballet slipper and I'm going to go the whole base and then part way up the side. And I did seal that with some Krylon clear glaze. I'm going to take a piece of craft paper. I'm going to hot glue the very bottom and just attach that to the craft paper so that kind of finishes off the bottom and it looks very neat. I like doing that. Then I'm going to take my Beacon Fabric Tack glue and I'm just going to glue around that very base of the cone. And then I'm going to glue my scrap fabric. I've got two pieces. I'm going to glue it all the way around, as you can see here, and I just cut off any excess. I'm going to take that lace, I'm going to cut a piece and hot glue it all the way around the base. I've got a mop head from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to pull out some of the strands and I'm going to use a piece of tape and I'm just going to attach them, and that's going to become the beard of what this is, which is a gnome. I'm going to trim the beard. And then I'm going to use a dog brush and kind of just loosen the bottom part of those mop head strands so they're a little bit looser. And then I'm going to put some hot glue all across the top so they stay in place. And then I'll put hot glue on the cone and put that whole thing right on there in one piece and then trim off the excess if it's too wide. But this sure does make it easier than doing each piece alone. I'm going to take that little paddle ball and I'm just going to use an X-Acto knife and cut it in half. And what a perfect gnome nose. I'm going to hot glue that right in place. And then I'm going to take this dish towel and just kind of fold it up, and I'm going to make a little hat out of it. You can do this as big or small as you like. I want the top to fold over, so that's kind of what I had in mind. I cut out the shape, and now I'm going to hot glue the base of it like a hem. And then I'm also going to attach it right to the top of the gnome's nose and all the way around, and I'll just kind of wrap it around itself. And if I need to trim as I go or fold it in just to make it look good. And I wanted to stuff it a little, so I used a couple pieces of the mop head just to stick it right in there before I closed it up, and that gave it a little more shape and it wasn't so floppy. Now I'm going to hot glue the very top and fold it over, and instead of a pom-pom, I'm going to use a peony for the very top, and I think that is so beautiful. And I added some little eucalyptus greenery as well. I took the little wooden hearts, put them for his feet, and added some more greenery. I think he's so cute. Let me know what you think. This oval blank piece of wood from the Dollar Tree. I love these pieces. They're so versatile. And I'm just going to use my heat tool to get that little tag off. And I'm going to use some ink paint from Waverly and my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. I'm going to sand all around this piece, both sides and the edges. And then I'm going to do a couple of coats of the Rust-Oleum chalk paint. I'm going to dry it off, and then I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to do what's called cross-hatching. You make all the strokes in one direction the first pass, and then the opposite direction the second pass. And I'm really sad because you can't see it in the picture, but it's really pretty. I've shown you guys before, so you probably have seen this. And then I'm going to just do the back, and I'll do the cross hatching there as well. And once that's done, I'm going to use my jot marker from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to write in what I hope will look like a Rae Dunn font, XOXO. And then after I wrote it, I was like, oh, it's a little off center. So I made a little Cupid's arrow to kind of sort of balance it. I hope that's okay. Anyway, it is what it is, and it's still cute. Then after I do that, I'm going to go ahead and take some of that ink chalk paint and a little makeup sponge, and I'm going to go all the way around the edges. And then when I turn it over, I'm going to write the word kiss ... in that sort of Rae Dunn font. Now I decided I didn't like the sponge look on the side, so I took my jot marker and I just completely filled it in. And any distressing you see on either side, I went back and covered it with the white paint because I didn't like it. Anyway, I'm going to take 2 tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree and paint them in the ink color. What I'm going to create is a little stand. So I'm just figuring out how it's going to be situated, and then I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue so that this will be very secure. And I'm going to attach one piece to the one side of the sign and the other little piece to the other and line them up. And then make sure that they're even on the bottom, and then it will make a perfect little stand. And this thing will be so cute. It's small enough it could fit on a tier tray, it could just sit on a shelf, and it could go anywhere. It's just adorable, and I love it. And this is about the easiest thing you could ever make. You could use stickers, you could use a Cricut, you could hand letter like I did, or trace. You could do it any way you wanted. You don't have to do the kind of fake Rae Dunn font, but that's just what I wanted to do. I hope you guys love this one as much as I do. Starting with this Beware Halloween sign from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to sand off all of that glitter. Now this is going to be the back of my sign, but I don't want any of it falling off and getting on my workspace, especially once I start painting. After I finish sanding, I'm going to use my little ladybug vacuum from Amazon, and I'm going to clean up all the little sanding dust, and boy does that do a great job. I'll put a link in the description if you need one. I'm going to put some craft paper on the back just to finish it off. I got the craft paper at Dollar Tree. And now on the front, I removed the little ribbon that held up the sign. I'm going to fill in those holes with some wood putty. And once I get that sufficiently filled, I'm going to sand that down and make it nice and smooth. I'm going to use the Waverly paint in the plaster color to paint my sign. I'm going to use a chip brush that I picked up at Dollar Tree, and then I'm going to distress it with Apple Barrel's burnt umber paint that I got at Walmart. The reason I wanted to use a chip brush is that I want it to look like wood, and because of the bristles being the way they are, if I finish it off with the bristles all going in the one direction, which is going to be long ways, it will give kind of that sense of wood grain. Now I want to create the effect of planks or pieces of wood going across like shiplap. So I'm using my square right now and I'm determining how wide they're going to be, and I'm going to match them up with the little edges that kind of are already scalloped to look like separate pieces of wood. I drew them on with a pencil and then I used an old black marker so that it would kind of go on lighter and just went over those lines. And I didn't do it perfect on purpose because I want it to look like wood. And now I'm using the burnt umber. I'm going to go around all the edges and then I'm going to go around those lines and then over the middle as I think it's needed. And I'm doing dry brushing where you put just a little bit on your brush, wipe most of it off, and then lightly place it on the project. There's a lot of different kinds of love, and the most important kind of love, I think, is the kind that God has for us. So this sign is going to be inspired by that. And I printed this out on my Cricut, and the words are love came down, meaning God came down to us as a human and wanted to be with us and show us his love. And to me, that is the best kind of love there is. There is no love here on earth that's better than that. And that is what my sign's all about. I don't really decorate much for Valentine's, so I wanted to create pieces that I could leave up if I wanted any time of the year. It will be projects that can be, or decor that can be left in my house anytime I want. I have to laugh because I realized the word down was up. So I picked it up. Luckily I cut them apart and I made sure it was in line with the other words. I had this garland left from Christmas time that I hadn't used, and I thought it's not really specifically Christmassy, so I wrapped it around both ends. I actually ended up just doing the front after because it wouldn't lay on the wall flat, so I ended up cutting that one side, and on the other side I just cut the pieces ahead of time, and I hot glued them on the back. I'm going to cover those edges with some cute ribbon, and then I'm going to add a hanger out of nautical rope. I'm just going to tie a knot on each side. I'm going to hot glue it in the back, and then off camera you don't see it, but I ended up putting some Gorilla like heavy duty tape over the two sides, not over the ribbon but next to it, because that's a long sign and I didn't want any pressure to be put on. I wanted to stay in place. I'm super happy with how this came out. I just love what it stands for, what it means, and I love the way it looks. I hope you guys like it. I'm going to use a leftover ring from a Dollar Tree wreath form that I had used the rest of it, and now I'm just using my little tin snips to cut off those pieces that connected the other rings. Once I take them off, I'm going to bend this and shape it into a heart. Took a little bit of doing, but it is possible, especially once you get the pointed bottom, and then you can bend it in. And then I also had to reflatten it because I had just literally pushed it all out of whack there, but I did get it to lay flat. My husband was kind enough to go out into the yard and collect all different sizes and lengths of sticks and twigs. So I cut them so I could form them around this heart and basically make a stick heart. And I used my hot glue gun. I'm not going to show you the entire process because it did take quite a while, but I think you get the idea of what I'm doing. If I find a bent one, I use it for the curve, and then I just use smaller pieces to shape the rest. And I went about 3 high, if you will. Not an exact measurement, but just till I thought it looked full enough and covered the wire form. Once I got the wreath done and it felt like it was thick enough, I took some of my burnt umber paint and I painted the black wire form. I just wanted it to kind of camouflage into the heart itself. The next thing I'm going to do is take this large 11 by 14 frame I got at Dollar Tree, And what I want to do is I want to attach this heart to the glass piece, and I want to remove the backing so it'll be like transparent. I found these rub-on stickers or decals from Dollar Tree, and they're so cute. And so there's this little green wreath, and then there's some other pieces. I'm going to put a little one on each of the corners. I am going to attach this heart to the glass. I used some hot glue. I did paint the frame this celery color chalk paint from Waverly, and when I was all done, I didn't like it. So I ended up taping it up and painting it black. You'll see that here coming up. Now, the way I made it look like it was hanging was I took a piece of buffalo check ribbon from the Dollar Tree and 2 pieces of rope, and I just glued those to the edges of that little ribbon, and that's just a faux hanger. It's really hot glued onto the glass where it touches. I've painted the frame black now. I feel much better about that. I added some twine in the middle of the frame, and I really think this finishes off the look, or at least I thought I did, and then I thought, nah, it needs a bow. Oh my gosh, so I added a little buffalo check bow that I got at Walmart, and it was already made. It was the perfect size, and I just trimmed a little dovetail at the ends. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's a very unusual piece, and it's Valentine's, but it can be left up any time of the year, and that's what I was hoping for. Would you have added the bow? Let me know. Shape piece at Dollar Tree. Now, I somehow didn't film me removing the flowers and painting it with plaster colored chalk paint. Now, I used my Cricut to cut out these heart shapes using some scrapbook paper. That was actually my very first thing I did on my Cricut, and it was pretty easy to do. So I used some painter's tape to kind of decide where I'm going to place them. I wanted 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, and then I'm going to put some words in between. Now that everything is placed, I'm going to Mod Podge them on. I used my Cricut to print out the words Home Sweet Home, and this is before I got the new transfer tape, so I'm using my painter's tape here, and I'm attaching that right in the center between the sets of hearts. And this went on really nice and easy, and it was a cute little font. And you wouldn't have to have a Cricut to do anything like this. You could use stickers, you could use the transfer type of letters where you rub them on, or you could even use a paint marker or a marker to do this if you have writing that you're comfortable with. And I did put a little Mod Podge over the top to seal it. I don't think I always will do that, but I did this time, mostly because there was already Mod Podge on there. I found some ends of painter sticks I had used from a different project. I was using my cool little miter shears. I'll link that in the description. That is one of my favorite tools so far, by the way. I don't know how I worked without it before. And I'm trying to create a roof. So I'm figuring out the angle and the shapes, and I'm using my pencil to draw some lines until I finally get it shaped the way I want it. I'm going to sand the edges where I cut just to kind of smooth them off so that there aren't any little rough sides. And then I'm going to get my hot glue gun out, and I'm going to attach them to the top. I'm going to stain the roof pieces with the Burnt Umber by Apple Barrel. You know, I used to use the Antique Wax by Waverly, but then I couldn't find it anywhere, so I switched to the Burnt Umber. And I'm actually really liking how it works. You just kind of wipe off the excess. And then I decided it wasn't really dark enough and matched with the other decor, so I added some of the ink-colored Waverly paint to it just to darken it up a bit. And I'm also going to do a very small amount of dry brushing around the sides and the front, just so it matches with the other decor pieces that I have where it's going to be sitting. Something I did off camera was I took a very, very lightly damp baby wipe, and I kind of wiped over the top of the distressing, and it smoothed it in a little bit, and it made it look, there it is right there, it made it look a little more natural. Now, I know everyone's going to be shocked when I say I feel like it needed something more, but it did. So I did a 3-strand cord, and I cut it and made a little shoestring bow out of it. I love doubling and tripling up the twine. It gives it such a neat look and texture. And I literally just made this cute little bow pulled all the little loops out, cut the edges so that they were the same length, and I hot glued it right to the center, where the top of the roof meets. And I think that just totally finished this one off. It's so cute. It can be for Valentine's or it could be for any time of the year. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Ready for more inspiration? Here's another video I think you'll really like. If you click on it, I will see you there. You are truly a blessing to me. Bye!